we need to think of a new advert for freebets.com.
Get your best betting offers from freebets.com.
Yeah, that'll do.
The following deals are now live.
This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store, Forged Irish Stout on freebets.com. Delighted today to be joined with Jamie Conlan. Don't know how it's taken us so long to finally be joining an interview in Orlando, but we're finally here. It's weigh-in day. Pody McCrory takes on Edgar Berlanga. Happy to be here and enjoyed the week so far?
Yeah, the week's been brilliant, but business has always been the number one priority, so it's a lovely spot. Orlando's been brilliant, the weather's been good, the hotel's been brilliant, but business is priority, and Pody doing the business on Saturday night is what we're all here to see.
Absolutely. I spoke to Pody about that, and he was saying, whilst it's amazing to have this hotel and be in Florida fighting, we're not here for a holiday at the end of the day. And as you said there, it is important to understand that there's a job at task and not to take in the moment too much.
No, definitely. And being away from home before as the away opponent, as he was in Germany, he's kind of got accustomed to it. He understands it. He knows the role. Being brought in, the big fanfare with the home fighter, and he's the away fighter coming in and upsetting the apple cart. So, under no illusion that the task and the size of the task at hand, but very, very confident internally on being able to do so and shock everyone.
I was going to say that. How confident are you taking into this fight? Because if you're looking at Berlanga's last couple of fights, he had all the the knockout streak, and then when there was a step up in competition, he has struggled, and he has the knockouts haven't came. And Pody easily being his toughest fight of his career so far. Whilst it is a tough challenge with how good Berlanga is, but very, very confident that the job can get done on Saturday night.
Yeah, the confident because of the preparation Harry's went about meticulously and preparing and breaking down Berlanga and studying him, and we've seen various different aspects of Berlanga's game that where you can exploit weaknesses and to be wary of the strengths. All the knockouts at the start of the career were unbelievable, and the streak that he had went with Top Rank and the fanfare and the hype and everything behind that, you kind of put to one side, and now you start to identify the fights, the actual proper fights, and when it gets tough and what he does, and when he's on top, and when the confidence is low and when the confidence is high. And I know a lot gets made about his power, that his power isn't the same as it was, but power doesn't leave like that. And I know he's went out of his way and has brought in Mimo Heredia, which is a grey area, a shady character in his history. Maybe helps his power again, who knows, but I know they've identified it and they're trying to rectify it for this fight also, so I have to expect the best and the most powerful and the most explosive Edgar Berlanga here on Saturday as well, so he's Pody's to be prepared for everything.
And I know we said there about not it being holiday and having business to do and having a job to do. You must look back at the journey that you've had with Pody and look back now to fighting in America, and sometimes the journey has been a special one to get to this point, and I'm sure you share great memories of Germany, beating Leon Barn, and potentially another great memory that could be carved on tomorrow night.
Pody's had a fantastic career, a career that kind of at the start for him was unexpected, but it's been a career that he's been able to carve out himself because he's took every opportunity put in front of him. He's been very humble in his approach. He's always remained with a fantastic work ethic, right up until even this fight. He's working before training, and you're going, this is the biggest fight of your career. Take some time off and focus on but that's who he is. He's a good, honest, blue collar fighter, and for me, working outside of it, it's all about relationships and personalities, and when you're around fighters, you want to have a good connection, and the raid, it doesn't matter if they're the best fighter in the world and they're making millions upon millions, you're not going to be happy if the relationship isn't like both synergy isn't the same, and you can get it on and there's a good vibe and everything kind of moving forward. With Pody, it's had everything. We've had a lot of ups and a lot of downs where injuries have happened. During COVID, he was due to fight in what we were going to be his breakout fight against Jermaine Brown. He ended up getting strap in his leg, day before the weigh-in or the day of the weigh-in. There was injuries in his hands, a lot where you would have to kind of monitor fights, and you were panicking right up to the fight was over because you knew he didn't do any sparring. We went to Leon Boone fight, we took it at probably late notice, but we were pretending that he wasn't in camp, and he was in camp. There was a bit of a good stroke there we pulled, but a bit of everything. Seeing him from the small, seeing him from when we were both amateurs together, fighting on the same kind of cards, on small smoky rooms, like as young kids, and then he was doing it. Took a step away. He was doing a door at my local bar where I used to go. And he used to let me in. You know what I mean? And so that's a massive kind of, it's a massive like evolution of Pody McCrory's career, and I think it's been an absolute pleasure and delight to be around him. He's as humble as there has been. He's a fantastic family man. He always puts his family first, and he deserves everything he's getting from this game.
Does it show how far Belfast boxing has come and is at the moment for yourself, Mick, Frampton at the start, and now you look at this new era who's coming through of guys like Lewis Crocker. Obviously, everyone's always linking him with Paddy Donovan, Kurt Walker, and all these fights who's obviously headlining on March 30th. It shows that Belfast boxing and the Northern Irish boxing, and Irish boxing in a sense, is coming a long way to being a real good era for the sport.
Yeah, most definitely. Belfast has always been a big boxing in terms of the pro game. It's always been an attraction, coming, but it's been few and far between. You would wait 6, 7, 8 months and you would have a big show, and then they'd disappear for a year, 2 years, and then another big show would come, and then it just was a big waiting game. There was always quality and there was always quantity on the island, but there was never an opportunity. So we were waiting, and then a big promoter, a UK-based promoter as Matcham or Queensberry would be, and they would come in and have to have their own fighters on it as well because they'd owe them fights, and only a few local kids would get on it, so they wouldn't be able to progress their career or learn. But over the last few years, there has been a scene developing, more grassroots scene, small hall boxing scene, keeping people active, keeping people moving, and then we've kind of been lucky in a way, whereas Frampton was doing big nights and was trying to do them a lot. Then he went to Vegas, and then Michael filled in that void and started to do a lot of fights in the SSC and giving opportunities constantly to all the fighters. But everyone now is progressing off the back of that. It's a conveyor belt of talent, and finally now we're getting opportunities on a monthly basis rather than on a yearly basis.
Well, and I mentioned there about Lewis Crocker versus Paddy Donovan. Realistically, do you think that fight could be possible this year or next year? And like where do you stand with that potential fight?
I think this year, yeah. I definitely think this year. I think both lads are at a stage of their career where you can leave it, but they're also at the stage of their career where they want to capitalise on their prime position, whether it be with the ranking, whether it be in their own body, whether it be right now where the momentum is very high for both of them. So this year definitely would be the perfect way to kind of close out the year. There's massive fights in the 147 division. There is a lot of names there. Conor Walker was there at our show on January 27th, which would be a fantastic fight for Crocker. Also with Paddy. They are slightly different stages of their careers. Croc's starting to kind of fill in that void, as we spoke about the Headline Act void and the SSC void, and it's looking like he is going to be ready to kind of go in perform at the big stage. Paddy probably needs one or two. And I would understand from that side that they would probably want to go one or two more. Highly talented, always has been since he was a young kid. Very, very high potential. But after his last performance in January 27th, they might want to kind of one or two more. But like Lewis Crocker, I think is an animal. I think could really run through the 147 pound division. Conor Ben, David Avanesian, Conor Walker, they're the big names. Like they're also big names and big fights that we can either have in Belfast or go away to do.
I remember speaking to Billy Nelson about it, and me and him had a back and forth about the Conor Ben fight. And do you feel like Lewis may see himself sometimes in that dreaded "Who Needs Me" club, because he's a very dangerous fighter that is coming through in a way? So is it sort of, do you feel like he could find himself in that spot where he may be in that "Who Needs Him" club? Not
necessarily, because now Matcham on board with them, and they'll push him, and they'll push him in the direction that's needed to go. It's not like he's sitting in limbo and has no big promotional backing to push him, whether it be on the local scene or the worldwide scene. So Conor Benn, in Conor Benn's essence, it is a who needs me fight. It's an all risk, no reward, or little reward, because Lewis Crocker is a real hard night's work. He's a handful. He's unknown, really unknown and untested in terms of them stage. No one's seen a flaw yet in his game, and he's been doing it. Tyrone was a massive fight for him because it was the first time. Number one, first time someone who's kind of given him a bit back before it, getting in his head mentally before it. Number two, fighting someone he's known since they were kids, and then the back and forth in an old city rivalry where you have people coming up and saying that in your own street that you're going to lose. Yeah. So that was one they had to take, and then having to jump straight back in with very little notice to get and back-to-back months to fight Jose Felix was another tough ask. So I would like to see it, like the SSC, hopefully in the summertime, and another big fight and preparation for it as well.
I did want to ask you about, obviously, with Mick's future. It's been a couple of months now since the Jordan Gill fight. Where do you think you stand as obviously a brother and looking after him as well? What do you think is next, or what could be the future for Mick?
That's up to Michael. That'll be up to Michael. I know when we have our conversations, he knows where I feel, and he just gets to take his time to make his next move. He's focusing predominantly on the marathon at the minute. He's running religiously, and his golf and whatnot. But I do see a glint in his eye, and I see he still wants to kind of go, but we haven't really discussed it, and I don't really want to kind of discuss it with him, because that's something he's got to come to himself. He's got to make that decision and figure out things himself. He knows his body, he knows himself, he knows where I stand, he knows where the family stand. So it's up to him. He does have a decision to make, but he's going to take his time to do it.
That's completely fair enough. Just a final one from me. I did want to touch on, we spoke a little bit about off camera, Josh Taylor versus Jack Catterall 2, sold out very quickly. We're talking about the build up, the slaps, the colouring books, talk sport, shaking hands, completely everything. As a fan for yourself, looking forward to that fight on April 27th, and I suppose, how would you see that fight playing out at 140 as well?
I was at the first fight. I thought Jack won the first fight. I was very intrigued about the first fight because I wasn't sure about Josh's tactics. I had fancied Josh to win the first one, but Jack was brilliant. I thought Jimmy Moore and Nigel Travis, etc., got the tactics spot on. I thought it was a fantastic performance. When there was talk, and I was like speaking to Sam Jones about the fight, and Matchroom weren't interested, and he was trying to pitch it elsewhere and building it. But when I got word that Hearn and Matchroom and had got the fight and were putting the fight on, and it was going to go to Leeds, you just knew it was the perfect matchup. It was the perfect marriage. It was always set to kind of to go this way. Having Eddie pushing it, Sam Jones pushing it. Like even Sam Jones, people give him a lot of shit, but he sold the fight as much as anyone. He played his part, pantomime villain up in Edinburgh. Getting the Chorley crowd behind him, speaking on the behalf of Jack. Very good. Like really well played. Getting into Josh, making a bit of a rivalry between Josh. But I'm really intrigued. I think Josh under Joe McNally is a great move. I've been always very impressed and rate Joe McNally very highly. And I think we'll probably see the best Josh Taylor. The 147 thing was a big a curveball for me. I didn't understand why it was at 147. I thought it definitely would have been a catch weight between 140 and 140. Sorry, yeah, 140 thing. Between 140 and 147, and it's intriguing, but it's what boxing needs, especially British and Irish boxing. It's what's needed. Local fights, local derbies. It's bringing it back to. It grips the nation. It shows you. And when we done our own show on a smaller level with Tyrone and Lewis, that's what gripped the public. That's what gripped Joe Public, who wasn't heavily invested in a boxer. They were heavily invested in the fight. So in the narrative of the fight and how the fight was going, and it was well sold. And congratulations to all of them.
Absolutely, Jamie. I just want to say thank you for taking time to speak to me. It's good to be spending a lot of time here with you in Orlando. Very much enjoyed it, and always good to catch up with you, mate. So yeah, all the best for tomorrow night, mate. Top man, thank you. Yeah, I'll try, mate. I'll try. Cheers, mate.